Look at the open ocean, and you see a continuous, unbroken surface. There are no walls, no painted lines, no physical markers of any kind. But beneath that empty horizon is an invisible battleground where nations constantly vie for control, resources, and power. For centuries, the oceans operated largely under a freedom of the seas doctrine. It was effectively an unregulated frontier. Navies could park warships miles off a foreign coast, and massive fishing fleets freely depleted waters right next to rival nations, leading to escalating clashes and resource exhaustion. To solve this, in 1982, the world adopted the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. Think of it as a constitution for the oceans. It took that unmapped water and dropped a strict mathematical grid right on top of it. This treaty established a specific set of rules, detailing exactly who owns what, depending on how far out you sail. To understand how modern global trade and international security actually function, we have to follow this invisible geometry outward, starting at the beach and ending in the deepest trenches on Earth. Today, the ocean is a highly regulated territory. These abstract legal boundaries dictate the flow of the world's economy and maintain the fragile peace between global superpowers. Every maritime claim begins at the baseline. This is the official reference point, drawn exactly along the low water line of a nation's coast. Every maritime zone we're about to explore is measured outward from this specific edge. This diagram outlines the first and most vital zone, the territorial sea. Stretching 12 nautical miles out from the baseline, this water is treated identically to the nation's land territory. The coastal state exercises absolute sovereignty over the water, the seabed below, and the airspace above. But there is a crucial compromise built in, called innocent passage. A coastal state cannot stop foreign commercial vessels from crossing through its territorial sea, provided the ship is moving continuously and rapidly, and not engaging in anything threatening, like weapons practice or fishing. Because this zone dictates national security, the rules tighten significantly for foreign military vessels. If a foreign submarine wants to transit a nation's 12-mile zone, it is legally required to navigate completely on the surface and display its national flag. The territorial sea balances a nation's right to protect its immediate borders with the reality that completely blocking off coastal waters would cripple global shipping. As this map shows, moving further offshore, the rules change. Stretching up to 200 nautical miles from the baseline is the Exclusive Economic Zone, or EEZ. In the EEZ, the coastal state no longer has absolute sovereignty over the water itself, meaning foreign ships can sail through freely. However, the coastal state holds the exclusive legal right to harvest all living resources within the water column, allowing it to set quotas and manage commercial fisheries. This exclusive economic right also projects downward to the continental shelf. If there is oil, natural gas, or valuable minerals buried in the seabed within this 200-mile distance, only the coastal state has the right to build platforms and drill for them. Because controlling a 200-mile radius translates to enormous wealth, the rules for claiming an EEZ are strict. Under Article 121 of UNCLOS, a natural island generates an EEZ.
But a mere rock, defined as a feature that cannot naturally sustain human habitation or an economic life of its own, does not. A rock only grants the 12-mile territorial sea. This single legal distinction drives major international friction. Nations routinely dredge sand to bury submerged reefs, building massive artificial islands and military airstrips over them to claim vast new economic zones. Under UNCLOS, however, these manufacture features remain legally classified as rocks or low tide elevations and do not generate a 200-mile perimeter of control. The Exclusive Economic Zone is a deliberate split in jurisdiction. It preserves the freedom of navigation for global traffic above the surface, while ring-fencing the billions of dollars of natural resources for the coastal state below it. Once you sail beyond that 200-mile marker, you enter the high seas. This is the water that belongs to no single nation. Here, the legal framework guarantees absolute freedom of navigation and overflight for every country on Earth. This freedom applies to commerce as well.
Any nation has the unrestricted right to fish, conduct scientific research, and lay the submarine pipelines and fiber optic cables that carry almost all of the world's internet traffic. But if we travel straight down from those high seas, leaving the bright surface waters for the pitch-black ocean floor, the legal reality flips entirely. The deep seabed Dinant National Jurisdiction is formally known as the Area. Instead of a free-for-all, this deep, mineral-rich crust is classified by UNCLOS as the common heritage of mankind. It is managed globally by an independent international authority. No state can legally claim sovereignty over the area, and no corporation can extract its resources without operating through the framework. It forces wealthy nations to share the financial benefits of deep-sea mining with the rest of the world. Drawing a mathematical grid over the Earth's oceans is one thing. Enforcing it is another. Geography is messy. Coastlines are often less than 400 miles apart, creating overlapping economic zones, and the relentless pursuit of oil, fish, and global strategic dominance leads states to constantly test these borders. When those boundaries clash, UNCLOS relies on a system of specialized referees. Bodies like the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea and the International Court of Justice step in to interpret the treaties, settling maritime border disputes through arbitration rather than naval warfare. However, international law has strict practical limits. A tribunal can issue a binding ruling that a territorial claim is invalid, but enforcing that ruling relies heavily on the voluntary cooperation of the nations involved. Without a single, unified global police force to back up the courts, powerful sovereign states can simply choose to ignore the verdict. Yet, the system largely holds. The vast majority of the world's commerce travels by water. That continuous flow of raw materials, vital food supplies, and manufactured goods depends entirely on ship captains and naval commanders knowing exactly which rules apply and when. The ocean remains the most formidable environment on the planet, but through thousands of pages of negotiated text, humanity has mapped its invisible depths, replacing historical chaos with a shared legal order that keeps the modern world afloat.